My name's Wendy Lawson. My main message for educational professionals when it comes to working with people with autism is that rather than disqualify an individual's passion or interest, is that they utilise it. And that might seem a strange thing to say, you know, how do we use Thomas the Tank Engine in everyday life? We had a young man whose main passion was honey and bees, and we employed that passion right through the school curriculum. When you think about honey and bees, you've got teamwork, you've got workers and queens, you've got so many of the everyday principles of everyday life that we can then interpret through his interests. So we don't try and separate him or her from what's of interest to them, but we work with them with permission to actually utilise that passion. The main message for parents of children with autism would be not to freak out when their little person appears to be separating from social stuff and not getting involved. The reason we separate and don't throw ourselves into all the social stuff is because that social stuff is really overwhelming. It's all coming down on top of us like a brick wall, and it freaks us out. So we try and put a bit of space between us and demand, and we often do that by moving into something of interest to us. So we'll just spend our time with our Lego, with water, with switches, with whatever it is, and parents will want to take us away from those things, not realising that those are the things that are keeping us sane, and those are the things that help build connection. So it's better if a parent can incorporate the thing of interest to us in their teaching with us. So if I'm into Lego and I'm working with red Lego bricks, you might want to talk about the red meat we're going to have for dinner. Or you bring some way to connect to the things that we're having or doing on a daily basis and relating it back to our Lego rather than, or whatever it is that we're interested in, rather than trying really hard to get us to look at you, talk to you, join in all the stuff that typical people are doing. If you can join me in through what I'm interested in, then that's keeping me kind of from becoming overwhelmed, but connecting me at the same time. My name's Wendy Lawson. I'm originally born in England, in a place called Colchester in Essex. I grew up there, one of a family of 4 kids. I still have 2 sisters and a brother. My brother has a diagnosis of Asperger type autism. I got my diagnosis of high functioning autism, and if you're familiar with the DSM-5, you'll know that they're now under the same umbrella. So we'll be talking a bit about that. Autism is a genetic disposition, and it's all the way through my family, cousins, aunts. Keep it in the family, eh? I didn't talk till well past my 4th birthday. I certainly didn't do very well at school. On my school report, I can remember at least one, it says things like, Wendy finds it almost impossible to do as she is told. And of course, what I know is that the teachers were wrong, and why would you do something that they're not right about, etc. So there are 2 points of view here, which we'll be exploring later as to why they exist. Growing up as an autistic child in an era where autism wasn't really understood or recognised was very difficult, especially when I didn't have a diagnosis of autism to start with. I have a diagnosis which is still on my medical records of intellectual disability. My IQ was said to be below 70. Well, that's inaccurate because it's really hard to get a PhD with an IQ below 70. It's really hard with any kind of IQ, so that's probably wrong. And the main message working with children and younger people with autism is that they are valuable, they are valued just the way they are, and that we're not somehow less because we're autistic. In fact, our autism can give us quite an edge. It can mean that we're more in tune, more focused. We're actually more equipped to work in a world, especially where technology is kind of taking over. We're more equipped to work at being detailed focused, especially when we work in areas that are of interest to us. So if there are other people bullying or putting us down in any way, even if we do that to ourselves, and we do sometimes, then give yourself a break. Those people are just ignorant. They don't get the value of who you are. They don't understand, but we will show them in the future by our works that we're very capable and able when encouraged.